Afternoon. I am Dr. Tiffany Slater, CEO and Senior Human Resources Consultant for HR Tailor Made, and we are the virtual HR team for small organizations. And so I thank you for tuning in and listening. And my question to you is, are you ready to hire? And if so, how do you know? And so am not going to be here long, but I do have a few things that you want to consider before you make the decision to hire for your team. And as a gift, I want to give you my checklist. So make sure that you download it and follow the link to download it so that you can get all of the goods about hiring your team members. So, growing your team is an important adventure as an entrepreneur. Um, Adding people as employees is quite the commitment and one that I certainly do not take lightly. It's a scary venture and it is necessary for the growth of your organization and the growth of your business. So, here are just a few things that you should consider before hiring. These are things that you really, really need to think about. The first one, ask yourself, why am I hiring? Are you hiring just because so many people say that you need to in order to grow your business? Well, that's true, but there are some other things that need to be true for you before you make that decision as well. One, do you have enough cash flow to sustain a salary for an individual? Are you monitoring your finance in a way that help you understand very clearly that you are going to have enough cash flow for payroll? Are you going to be able to sustain your payroll over a specific, I would say, indefinite amount of time? Because if you're hiring someone, I would hope that you want to keep them forever, right? If they're good enough to or are effective enough to keep on your team. So those are all the things that you want to think about. It's the whole cash flow thing. It's the being very clear about why you're hiring. And the other question is, what are they going to do? Do you know what you want them to do? Is it one or two things that maybe you can just hire a contractor to do? Maybe a virtual assistant, or maybe a you could go to Upwork or Fiverr and pay someone to do those things for you? Or is it truly a job that needs to be fulfilled? The next thing, are you going to be able to pay a competitive salary to that person? What you don't want to do is you don't want to have an hourly rate of, let's say, $15 an hour and expect to get someone who has the skills of a rocket science, right? So you want to have a salary that complements the work that you are seeking or fairly compensates the person for the work that you are seeking. Another thing that you want to consider, will you offer insurance and benefits? Can you afford it? What about the taxes? So there are so many costs that go into hiring a team member that a lot of people don't even think of or consider. So think about this. Let's say you're going to pay somebody $40,000 a year. I want you to understand that it's not just $40,000 a year. It's $40,000 a year plus taxes that you have to pay that person $40,000 a year. So, a good rule of thumb for me, and this is always on the high side, but I think about their annual salary plus 20 to 25% on top of that salary to take care of taxes and any additional expenses that you might have to incur for that person. So that's the true cost of hiring someone. So think about that. Can you afford that? You think about the $40,000, and then you're thinking, and then I have to add about another $10,000 to that for taxes. So it's about $50,000 now that you might have to pay to, sustain an individual's annual salary. So it's really important for you to know about all of those things and think about those. And don't forget, you can get the checklist just by following the link. So the other thing for you to think about, how are you going to pay them? Do you need to get a payroll system? Are you going to be writing checks? You're still going to need something that's going to help you figure out the taxes. Could you use your accounting system? Probably. Is that the most efficient way to go? It's not. It's cost effective, sure, but when it comes to running payroll, you darn near need a bookkeeper or an accountant to do that for you when you're using your accounting system to pay them. One of the systems that I love Gusto for small businesses, small organizations as a whole, quite frankly, because it's really intuitive and it is made for people like you and me, people that don't know payroll. I don't know payroll, and I don't want to, quite frankly. I know enough about it to help people through it, but running payroll and the taxes and all of those things, not my jam, not my superpower. But can I help you find a program or a system that's going to be good for you? Absolutely. But I'm not the person to run it for you. So just saying, I love Gusto because it's very intuitive and it really helps the individual that is not a payroll person. It helps you to run your payroll very easily. And most importantly, their customer service is amazing. So I'm a Gusto girl. And I'm just going to give you a couple more, and then you got to download that checklist to get the others, okay? Because I don't want to be before you long. The other thing that is really important for you is, what kind of culture do you want to design for your team? So when you think about hiring your first employee, your culture development or developing your culture for your organization, it starts right then. What type of environment will you have for the individual that works for you, or for the people that work for you and stand before your clients or customers, right? So you want a joyful work environment? Do you want a work environment where people are working like constantly, having to work like 10-hour days, 5 days a week, sometimes weekends? What kind of culture or environment would you like to create? That's important for you. So if you know that you are not in a position to create a good work environment, then there are a few little things that you need to do before you start to bring other people into the fold, right? So if you're working like crazy, there's a reason for that, right? Is it because you don't have your back office set up? Is it because you don't have enough things automated? Is it because you don't have your processes and systems documented? And if that's the case, how is it going to be different when you bring someone else on? It'll just be confusion and chaos for them. So, what can you do now to help you prepare so that you can create a better onboarding process and a better experience for your team member, right? So, think about that. And this is the last one I'm going to leave with you. Are you ready to lead? Have you ever been a leader before? Because when you own your own organization, or you are an executive director and you need to grow the organization, people are looking to you to lead them. And if you've never done it before, you need to make sure that you can prepare yourself so that you are the leader that people want to follow. And if you are the type of leader that people want to run from, then you are not going to create an organization that people want to stay at. And it's going to be a really rough ride for you, because your turnover is going to be crazy and you're always going to be onboarding people. So I don't want that for you. I want you to have an amazing work environment. I want you to have people that want to work with you, that want to be a part of your team and your organization. So you got to download that checklist so that you can see all of the things that are on there that you need to consider and look into and research before you say, yes, I am getting ready to put the for hire sign out and I'm getting ready to find my next great person to be on my team. So I thank you for stopping in. I hope this was helpful. Drop some comments for me, drop some questions for me. Happy to address anything that may be on your mind. Don't forget, get the checklist. I am Dr. Tiffany Slater of HR Tailor Made.